Welcome, friends, to Reality Test. What is reality testing, you may ask? Well, it's something we all do every day, maybe with our loved ones over dinner, with coworkers at the water cooler, etc., when we check our subjective or personal emotions, thoughts, and so forth against objective or sort of more agreed upon fact-based reality. Although, because Dr. Ray and I, Dr. Kay, are social constructionists, we don't actually believe there's one true objective reality, but rather our own personal versions of it constructed in the context of relationships. But you get the idea. So here in Reality Test, we're going to be testing the castmate realities and the producer antics of our favorite reality TV shows against what we know as licensed psychologists about the reality out here, off of our TVs. We hope you'll join us as we attempt to reality test. That's it. Thanks, y'all. Now check out our campy theme song.
Are you feeling stressed? Your head's all messed? Well, let's forget all the rest. Fuck it, we're blessed, because it's time to talk reality test. Come with us. Let's reality test.
Welcome to Reality Test. I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Dr. Kay. Feel free to check in, take a seat wherever you like. We're talking about BIP reunion, baby, and that's exciting. So for anyone who didn't know, this reunion was first as a podcast on a happy hour, and then it was then put on YouTube as a video. So first a podcast, then video, and we watched the video. So that's what we were referring to. I also recommend, as I mentioned last time, because you can't tell who's saying what on the audio version as well. So I'm excited.
I'm so excited. This was a very action-packed reunion, and it actually gave me like different views on some of the people on the show, which I really appreciated, for better and worse, I think.
Literally, same. There's some people where I was like, oh, that's a part of that dynamic I did not think about before, including some random people you like wouldn't otherwise be thinking that you thought a lot about. It's like, oh, now that I think about it this way, it does change how some of those scenes were. And I also think at the same time, it was very, there was a lot happening, as he said. There was also a lot that was like following through on some threads that were left open. So I appreciated that. And like, for example, what are the receipts that Sean referred to or whatever, or like what's happening now with Kat and Dale, given that was how he left it on the note that sort of, she just wasn't going to tell anybody, or whatever. Does he still care or whatever? So it was interesting to see that follow up on. And I also just came to love Andrew and Alex even more. Such a delight. I love them.
Obsessed. They are so cute together. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah,
I think they could really go the distance. And I agree with Wells that they are the like love story of the season from my perspective.
Me too. And then it makes you like think about it more. I'm like, ugh, I like Justin Spencer. They didn't give us enough of that because they were already like connected right at the start. So like I get that affected how much we saw of the two of them. But there is something about Alex and Andrew just like really got my heart more than they did. And I was glad that Wells actually starts with them when we go into the reunion recap. We'll see that. So I will also note that there's a little bit of a recap element here. As you know, we do the little recaps. This probably will be a 2-part series because there's a good amount in there. It's juicy. It's a 2-hour reunion. That's actually quite juicy for Bachelor as well. So we'll kind of stop halfway through, and then next week we'll have the rest of it. And we're going to do our segments. So you'll notice our 6 psychology-related segments are going to be brought in. And so this includes things like if producers were psychologists, this would be different, or we spotted therapy. So we will go through those as they appear in the recap. And the other thing is we are psychologists and therapists, but we are not your therapist. And we're not the therapists of the folks other than our clients that are listening. Thank you, friends. We're also not the therapists of the people that we're talking about. So we can't tell you really what's going on with them psychologically, but we can give some suggestions of what might be involved, just given what we've seen. Of course, we'd have to assess them in person for many hours to be able to tell you more. But this is what we're just trying to, explore it, being intellectually curious about what might be going on.
That's right. Intellectual curiosity is a beautiful thing, and we try to cultivate it in this podcast and in our our careers and professions.
I like that, though.
It's
coming down the
So yes, in our prefers, we really try to cultivate intellectual curiosity. So Thank you. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you for hopefully absorbing some of it. I will say, relatedly, that we just discovered right before starting to record that both of us forgot about the study part of this. The segment called Reality Check, which is where we talk about one study that we both were thinking about that was interesting this past week. Thus, we do not have that section today, our intellectually curious loaded section. But we will be cultivating intellectual curiosity in other ways then, because that's not here today. But also, we have so much content, so that's actually kind of good timing.
It is indeed.
Yeah. It's like, okay, that gives us more time, actually. So normally you can expect that, though. But we are also going to do our check-in real quick. So, Dr. Ray, what is on your heart and mind today?
Well, first off, happy belated birthday, Dr. K. I know we talked about this earlier in the week, and yeah, I'll let you save whatever maybe for your check-in. But glad you were born. Glad you're here. Happy Virgo season, and
Yes.
love you dearly.
Oh, that's so sweet. It is Virgo season. I love it.
It is. Go Virgos.
Yeah. Is that your check-in?
No, it was half.
Oh, okay, I was like, that sounds great. Thank you.
It's very sweet.
Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you.
But in terms of check-in, we got our floors redone and they look so fucking good. I'm looking at them and I'm like, my floor, are beautiful. And it's just funny how things like that, once you're, living in a house or like somewhere that you consider home and you start making improvements, it really makes a difference for me in like my well-being. So I'm grateful for my redone floors. Even if the chemicals are doing weird things to my brain, that's okay. I'm here for it. Don't care.
I love it. It's going to make for a juicy episode. Always good. Always welcome.
Exactly. We'll see what kind of journey we're on today. Beer plus 4 chemicals. It could be a fun day.
I love it. I love it. We'll just have some fun with that because, it's sort of one of those things where it's like we don't really know until we're into the episode what it's going to look like for us. We're sort of like, well, there's some factors involved. Let's just see what happens. So this will be fun. Let's see what happens.
Yes.
For me too, because I'm like operating on much less sleep today. So I think my language will start to smush. I like the for fears is like definitely a smushing. I love that.
Fears. Our fears are really picking up right now, and it causes some smushing, you guys.
Some smushing happening. Some smushing. I love it. Oh, that's great. I can't wait to see your floors. I'm so thrilled and excited.
Love them.
We record together at some point. That'd be fun.
Yes, please.
Now it's been a minute.
Soon.
Yeah. It's funny because we did it like 4 weeks in a row. We like good at talking about smushing. We smushed together a lot of our meeting to recording together for just random reasons. It worked out. So
hopefully we can do it again soon because it's fun. It's fun to record in person. The energy feels different. It's nice.
Totally. Oh, fun. Okay, good. And the floors are going to be a good excuse. So
yeah, you got to see them and sniff them. Maybe
if I come soon enough, I can also have the chemicals. It's like a big part of the experience.
You never know.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, good. We'll plan something soon. A little play date.
Yes, great. Please.
Okay, fabulous. Yeah, I guess I would use my check-in to talk about my birthday. Yeah, because there's a lot going on from this week that just is related to that. That's sort of what's on my brain stem and such. I still have more events happening like with my family and so forth, but I actually surprised my husband with a trip to a luxury hotel, and it is like one of the very few in our area. So it's brand new, 3 weeks old. It turned out I had booked the room on the day they opened, which I didn't even realize. Like, thank goodness I called that day and not 2 days earlier. But they're brand new, which also meant it was not as expensive for a weekday in particular. And so he was just so shocked. He thought we were going to like a gaming. I like practiced a suitcase and hid it. So he didn't even realize we were going overnight anywhere. I made sure I had everything we needed, of course. So he was just like completely appalled and excited. And oh my God, it was so sweet. I got us massages and it was so sweet. The people there are so nice. I'm going to make them a big Yelp, review. It was just the cutest. And then also the like setting itself was so prolific, like huge like arches and wood, and they have 2 beaches on the lake. They have like a outdoor heated pool. They have 2 hot tubs. They have, it's just like all the amenities are pickleball courts, tennis courts. I've never been in a luxury hotel ever, like this level, 5-star kind of. They're aiming for that kind of a place, and I could definitely tell why. Like the concierge called me days before we came and was like, "Hi, I'm your concierge, and I just wanted to know if you want me to book you anything, reservations, massages at the spa." I was like, "Yes, please." But also it was the cutest thing ever. And I honestly, like, she did this thing where she goes, "So you're going to be here in just like a couple days. It's amazing." And I was like, "You're excited that I'm going to," I was like, "I love that. It's so sweet. What a great way to do that." So I gave her a lot of feedback immediately. I was like, "You are amazing. I loved your message. I love that you were excited for me." I was like, "You're right."
It just gets you in the mood. Yeah. Those little touches like that, the older I get, the more I'm like, this means something.
Totally. But yeah, it was so interesting. Like I was thinking the whole time about class issues and like how people are treated in different settings and like what they're expected to need or like how they're like expected to talk to you or things like that. Having worked in the service industry, I was like more so I was more familiar with what they were experiencing than I was with what I was supposed to be experiencing while I was there. So it was like very pampering, but also I was very aware of just like the power and so forth. And it was just like an interesting intellectual exercise in addition to being very pampering and amazing. Also, because it's so new and it was during the week, we were like the only people when we were out at the beach. We were by ourselves. We had like a bottle of champagne out there and just the 2 of us. There was all these geese that came. It was just fun and romantic and adorable. So it was a phenomenal time to go. I just bring that up to say about the class thing too. I'm going to bring that actually into one of our segments. So that's the other reason I was going to make this part of my check-in, because it's relevant. Also, I only got us a night, and then after we were there one night, my husband was like, "We're going to stay another night, right?" I was like, "Yes." So he bought me the second night. So we shared it. Yeah, so much fun.
Amazing.
Yeah,
it's so fun that you had a little like midweek kind of siesta on your birthday, which we got to do that shit in this capitalistic hellhole of an apocalypse we're in. Like, my goodness. And yeah, you're inspiring me. I think I might need to try to book this place too, if possible.
Yeah. I'll totally give you the deets. It's amazing. And who to talk to, because Barbara's the best concierge on the planet. I'm so excited. She ended up making sure she left me a card in our room that said, like, she also kept calling me Dr. K, which I was like, thank you so much. That's so sweet. I don't mind it. Amazing. But she wrote on the card Dr. K and my husband's name. And then she said in the card itself, she said, "Happy birthday, Kate, and happy grand surprise, Sean." It was like so cute because she knew I was surprising him. It's just the whole thing. And then she was the one to bring our champagne to the room that I arranged when we first got there, and she just like came in like all smiley and cute. I was like, "Oh my god, it's Barbara!" I was like, "I need to give you a hug." She was like, "I was hoping you were going to give me a hug."
That's so sweet.
I love it so much.
I love that hotel already. I know. I'm obsessed.
Everybody who works there is like, I'm still surprised every time I walk in here. Like, it's so, they're all like really, it's like pretty prolific. I can't imagine how much money it must have cost. Millions. I mean, it definitely cost millions, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So anyway, do recommend. And then also, I will say, we'll come back to talking about the class thing a little bit, which is great. And thank you so much for my birthday wishes. Very kind. Oh, I know what I was going to say. When you're saying we need to do this kind of stuff, yes, the like pampering and self-love is key. I actually, I like Fabletics, the brand, a lot. This is not a shout out to them. Don't take anything from this. But there's also like some issues with their model, I will say. There's some things to critique about their model of doing membership anyway. But I will say that I decided there was a day where they had 60% off on everything. So I just like bought a whole bunch of shit as part of my like self-love birthday thing. Yes. And then I'm just going to show you. I got this dress, which I really like. Little fit check here.
It's so cute. It's adorable.
Isn't that cute? You look at my little mini hip sack. I love a hip sack, and they have minis now, so I like a little mini. It's so cute.
Adorable. No free ads, but like Fabletics, if you want to be advertised by our podcast, call us.
Yeah, they will. I get this little like extra shout out for me because I haven't been a member for a long time. I do feel like they deserve it, even though it's totally free. But yeah, I will say also like my hip sack like adoration. I feel like it's a feminist thing because you know how first of all it's womb like hip sacks are womb like, and second of all, right. Whereas, and then the second of all, the other part of it is women's clothing not having fucking adequate pockets. Like, good God. Yes. So, like, I wear a hip sack, so I have all my things in there that I need at any time, and then I'm ready to go. But I will say, Fabletics also put some pockets in dresses like this, like on the shorts underneath, so that's also helpful. But.
Oh, I love that. I love that. My only thing with that is then you have to almost seem like you're going to flash people when you're getting something out of your pocket, which can be a little awkward. Talkie if you're like in a certain, like if you're in a professional setting, if I'm just like, hello, let me get my phone.
God, no, I would not wear these outfits professionally. That's so true. Yeah, I really don't. I don't even wear the pants, which would be a little bit more appropriate. I don't usually wear athleisure kind of clothing, even though I feel like we probably could. But yeah, exactly. It would be way inappropriate. Even in a store though, like even in a store, you don't want to be like, like whatever. Hello. But I will say the other issue with it is it makes it bulge. Like then you also have like a bulge over there too, which is like even your phone is pretty clearly a bulge. So I also have those issues. But if you want your credit card and cash in there, easy breezy.
Good to go. Yes, I love it. Oh.
But anyway, yeah, thank you so much. Stuff. Point being self-love. And I really think it is like one of those things where if you can afford it at different times, 60% off was very affordable. Then it just like, why not go for that? Even though it's purchases, there are other ways, of course, to do it too. But like that sort of caring for yourself, I'm a big advocate for.
Mm-hmm. It's really important. And I think undervalued for even though we live in such a capitalistic society and are encouraged to buy, like when you actually do and take care of yourself, oftentimes it's like frowned upon. But I think it's really important.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. Yeah, it's a bummer. And again, like, so, yeah, the capitalism part is a wicked bummer. And I think the other way you do that is like to buy from local markets or like go to the, what the fuck is that called? I was called like a garden market. Farmer's market. Yes. Or the farmer's market or like, the other thing is, like bartering with people. Like we do a lot of bartering was one of the things that my husband's involved with. And so that way we get like people who like fix our lawnmower or like, we like have these different kind of things. So that feels very fun and self-caring too. Yeah. Make your life easier.
Yes. Take care of yourself. Have compassion for yourself.
Yeah. That's one of our main themes of this podcast. And I love that. So what a great way to end our check-in. Like self-compassion, period. Because it's so true. Like The self-compassion piece is what makes it easier to survive and also makes your relationships much stronger. If you have self-compassion, you're going to have way more compassion for the other person because you're like, well, I could make that mistake. And I'd be, if you're more okay with the fact you make mistakes, then you're also more okay admitting you make mistakes. And then you're more okay with other people making mistakes. So it makes it a lot easier for you and your friends as well, family.
Yeah. And y'all, we're so flawed. We're all so goddamn flawed.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
Why not lean into that? It helps.
Yes. Yeah. And like as Socrates said, he knows the most by knowing he knows nothing. Same with us. It's like you can't know everything. Trying to be right about things actually, even though it's like the writing reflex, they talk about the writing reflex. We have a reflex in motivational interview. We have a reflex to feel like we need to show that we're right about something. And actually, you know what? You're both probably a little right and a little wrong. So like it makes more sense just to like share your opinion and be like, but I could be wrong and keep it moving.
Mm-hmm. Move on. Wear life lightly. My grandma, she's almost 100. She's turning 100 in January.
Oh my God.
And she is like the complete opposite of me. She is in some ways not. We both have kind of dark senses of humor, but like she is, she just wears everything lightly. And I learned from her so much because I don't think she's ever had anxiety, which is amazing for her. But like, she just kind of like takes every day as it comes. And like, yeah, shit happens, but she's like, oh well. And I learned so much from that. Like, take it in, let it go, move on kind of attitude. I think it really prolongs your life. I think about her all the time and what the heck she's done to make it this long. She is incredible.
What a role model. That's incredible. I love that phrase of wearing it lightly. What a fabulous way to think about it. It really gives you an image for that kind of idea, a sort of like keep it moving idea. I love it. I'm going to keep thinking about that. So that's going to be our theme to you all. Our study for this week was actually a study in relationships and what you gain from thinking about self-compassion in the context of also your relationships being a place of support. And we say to you, wear life lightly. From Dr. Ray's grandma.
Yes.
Hearts to her.
From Connie, wear life lightly. Thanks, Connie.
The best. Okay, fabulous. What a nice note to go into this with, because I think this is actually an issue, and maybe that's why we've been focused on it a little bit, aside from my birthday being like, I have to love myself. Yes. This is the point that I want everyone else to live from too, because it's one of the things that made this such an enjoyable birthday. Besides that part of it, the other thing that might be making us think about it is the fact that on Bachelor in Paradise, a lot of what they're focused on is like, who's right, who said this, what are the fans saying, da-da-da-da. And I think that that's actually one of my pieces of feedback for folks too. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. Again, this won't be the whole episode today. We're just going to talk about the first chunk of the reunion. Part of why we decided to like go a little bit more in depth into this is because some people may not have seen it on YouTube. So this is something where even if you have seen it, I think you might appreciate the context just because it's easy to forget some of the stuff that was happening. But it definitely is a lengthy episode, so we will see what we can do. With that said, I think why don't we do page by page? So you go to the whole first page, or I can do either one. But yeah, why don't you do the whole first page, and I'll do the second, and then. Okay.
Sounds good. So to start this off, we find out Wells is hosting. I think he did an okay job for his first time. I don't know. He wasn't my world's favorite host, but like he did fine.
He did do fine. And he has a podcast himself. Like he has one with Miley Cyrus's sister.
That's so
like
fun.
Carly, maybe something like that. And it's pretty good. I used to listen to it. Eventually, I was just sort of like, well, I'm like sobbed, but it makes sense. Like he's good at. He was as you know, a radio host first. Like when he came onto the show to begin with, he was a radio host at the time. Yeah.
Forgot about that. Oh, that makes sense. Why he has more like maybe media training than some of the other people. I mean, you could tell. One thing I'll say, just producers, y'all have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Why the fuck was the sound on that so awful? Like it was really bad.
So weird. It's like, what is happening?
I'm like, you are the Bachelor. You make so much money. You could easily produce this a little better. Like the production on our little podcast should not be better than the production on the Bachelor in Paradise reunion for the first time. But that's just me.
Right. Well, and that's also props to our sound guy, your partner, because he definitely makes it professional over here.
He does a good job.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that he had radio experience. That's pretty cool. That makes sense why he has done a little better with that than others.
Yeah, why he could jump into it, kind of. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So he started, and we loved this. He started with Andrew and Alex as the first couple, and he acknowledged that their love story was his favorite, even though technically Jess and Spencer were like the winners. Or won the most money. However, we're characterizing what a winner is, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they got engaged or whatnot. But I think that what stuck out about Andrew and Alex's relationship was it felt more honest, maybe, or authentic in some way.
Yeah.
But conversation topics, they talk about the challenges and they talk about the Goldens bringing energy into the show. And Kathy was a big chimer inner here. She was making her voice heard. And she said, life is all about the importance of relationship. You have to get to our age to understand that. One thing, if producers were psychologists, this is more of a critique on the season. I really thought it sucked the way the, like, as they call them, the youngs, like, kind of voted out the Goldens. I just wish there was a way with all the gaming that was happening to somehow like counteract that, because I really feel like I agree. The show was fun when there was more like golden energy in. And Keith and Kathy were great and all, but they ended up being the parents. And some of the things that I think was cool about Golden Bachelor or Bachelorette is that they like showed that old people are like have sex. Sexuality. And that was more like mom and dadding, which I think didn't necessarily like promote what the Golden Bachelor and Bachelorette is all about. So I thought it was kind of a shame. And some of the way the age jokes just didn't like land with me. I didn't think they were funny.
Nope.
So it would have been nice to see the representation of like older folks falling in love, even though I don't like Kim and what's her name. I actually thought they liked each other.
Faith. Yeah. Faith. They were super into each other. I loved seeing them make out. I was like, this is cute. Go for it. Yeah. Yeah.
And they might actually work because they live in the same town. Like Kim has not been my cup of tea, but I was like happy to see maybe like a more down to earth side of his personality. So,
he was like more goofy. He was more like much more relatable. Yeah, I totally agree. I think he was like super anxious and in his head basically every other moment until he met Faith. I think she drew him out of his head into like the world in front of him. And I think he let go. A big deal. And it was really sweet. I agree. Kim is very like uptight and like a little bit like regimented and like a little bit like selfish maybe or like self-centered. But the way that Faith came in and just like totally shifted it was just amazing. I loved it. And that's the kind of shit we want to see with the Goldens, because part of what's drawing, I totally agree. First of all, let me just say, best, I love it. Such a good segment, such a good point. I have some stuff about ageism as well in here, because it was like so gross. I think the producers totally fucked that up. There's such a better, such a better thing that could be done there about integrating the two, because I totally agree. Instead, it's parentified them. And like there was weird ageism happening throughout the reunion. It was just so uncomfortable to watch. But then I also felt like Kathy in this moment, because I also have a segment here, which actually is not the same one, but in this moment, just before I get to that, it felt almost like a little bit like age bias. It's not ageism because she's the one being ageist. You know, ageism goes against folks who are outside of the 18 to 65 range. Anybody outside of that are the folks that face ageism. And so Kathy would be the one who would be faced with ageism because of the history of marginalization against older folks. But when she said, you have to be to our age to understand that, I was sort of like, no, like, I don't know. Like you and I, we've privileged relationships as the most important thing in our work, like every single level of it. Supervision, professing our professors. We also have privilege in our clinical work. In our personal lives, it's like to us, like we talk all the time. I literally think that therapy and supervision are successful because of the relationship. It's the number one mechanism of change. So I just don't agree we have to be at a certain age to do that. And that felt a little bit like limiting to what other people can think or feel throughout the lifetime. One of the studies I was thinking about doing for our studies one day is the Harvard study about relationships, and that's the one thing that keeps people alive. Exactly as you were saying. That makes us live longer. If we're like living light and loving relationships, that's our number one. And then you're much more likely to live longer. So I think for that reason, I disagree with Kathy about having to get to her age to understand it. But I do totally agree with her that relationships are the lifeblood. They are what keep us alive, and they are what keep us happy and energized and all that good stuff. So I think that's why they brought the energy to the cast, is because they were coming in like loving relationships, loving hearing about them, loving talking about themselves, loving meeting each other. And when they were all there together, it was much easier to see that same energy of like, they're ready to fuck, But then, when we start to get down to just two who don't even want to fuck, then we're not thinking about them fucking because they're just mom and dadding it. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, and it's kind of a bummer. Then it becomes, why are they still there? And that's not a good space to be. And I know the producers control a lot, so I wish they would have like maybe corrected course in that somehow, but they, for whatever reason, didn't. Which was a bummer.
I just thought it's like fantastic because it's a callback to the meeting we had earlier this week. They should do stratified rose ceremonies.
Yes! I am obsessed. Yes, we need to get certain demographics within our sample to keep the show going in in a productive way. This is not a
Exactly.
stratified sample, and
No.
the young people flooded the zone, unfortunately, which is not a research term.
No, but they basically did. They did the thing very much so. Yes. No, it's true. Yeah, if they did stratified rose ceremonies, it would look like, okay, we have 8, rose golden folks, 8 regular like youngins, and therefore they have 2 separate rose. They have at the same time, but 2 separate tracks. They can only vote for people within their age group, and then they sort of like get hooked up. So then that way, you might even it might mean 2 couples a week, or it might mean that one couple from one of the other, so they rotate. So every 2 weeks, a golden goes, or every 2 weeks, the younger goes. And I think that's fine with me. Like either way, or 2 people go at night, whatever. But I think it has to be something like that, because otherwise, of course, they're all going to vote the Goldens out, and that's so ageist, by the way. Fucking ageist. Right. If they were doing this with like white and black people and they voted all the black people out, it's racist as fuck. So like same thing here. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there were more of the youngs than there were of the Goldens. So it was, it's just group dynamics. So I mean, with all the other backflips they were doing around this, that, Wheel of Fortune, survive, like they could have controlled for X on this one, I think.
Yes, exactly. No, I totally agree. They definitely could have controlled for X. Exactly. No, I totally agree. So I feel like both. So 2 things. Like one is that. So I put that as a sociopolitical moment because of the like degree of this comment about relationships, even just as to the degree that she's talking about age and how that interacts with knowing about relationships. And I think relationships obviously themselves are a sociopolitical thing. But I also have the same thing about the ageism dynamic within the production of the show. That was one of my 2 of producers or psychologists. But it wasn't related to this comment. But I do think in general, that is such a fucking issue. Like the way they handled that was so poorly done. And I love that they were doing it. They were sort of like worried it wouldn't work and and it worked out great. But like it could have worked out so much better if it was done even differently, if they had some psychologists on deck.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Or more psychologists on deck. Because there was indeed a psychologist on deck.
Yeah, more. Exactly. More of us. And is she a psychologist or was she a counselor? Like
I think I looked it up. I think she is a psychologist.
Okay, good.
I'm pretty sure. Yes.
Yeah. Well, good and bad, but yeah.
Post-show bullying was a discussion point.
Yes.
We talked about, or they talked about Jeremy's move.
Oh, no, wait, before that, I have a segment for post-show bullying. No, you're totally fine. The post-show bullying was a huge thread throughout this. And I think it's really, really important. I think it's another sociopolitical thing, massively important. I think one of the things is like, I'm really glad they're speaking up about bullying. I'm not sure it's going to make a huge impact. I hope it does, but I'm not sure it is. I think they're kind of talking to the wrong audience about it. Like, I think people who are doing this are people who are like sort of hearing about it or who watch in order to hate or whatever, like hate watch it or something. I think a lot of them are really young and are used to that kind of comments being like normal. So I think in that way, it's not really the people who are going to hear those call outs. That said, I think the fact that people were so hyper aware of the comments section came in a lot, and that's feeding it a little bit, which is kind of a bummer. So I think it was like that kind of undid some of the bullying PSAs. But anyway, I put that as sociopolitical.
When you get too in the weeds, it almost makes it worse, which sucks, like, because they're anxious about it. And so, of course, they're getting in the weeds. But then in terms of like how it's being perceived publicly, it's like, I wasn't even thinking about that. And now you're talking about that. So now it's kind of on my mind kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well put.
But yes, that's a great one. I'm glad they were talking more about it. Who knows what post-show bullying conversations will do.
Yeah.
We talked about Jeremy's dumb move regarding Susie. Most people, and Bailey said this, most people don't have to watch back to a beginning of a relationship, which is a great point, right? Because lots of people have doubts, and that is painful. And Jeremy admits not thinking about what it would be like for Bailey, if to see this and all this stuff, that he wasn't really thinking ahead. Kat mentioned, I would never want Bailey to be embarrassed, and I feel bad that I didn't know what happened. If I had, I probably would have given him 24 hours and then told Bailey. So she's kind of entering the chat and being like, this is what I would have done, which is a little unfair because you can't actually know unless you're in it. Jeremy said you didn't want Bailey to feel embarrassed. That's talking about Alex, or?
So that's such a key part. So I have a segment here. There's actually 3 for psychologists as producers, because it was really rich in this case. But there were 2 comments that came up, at least 2 that didn't. No, 3 actually. There were 3 comments that came up that they didn't follow up on, and I think it's so important that they follow up on those, because now that's like something like, I'm not going to go look to find out what he meant. You know what I mean? I don't care enough for that, but I would like to know what they meant. So I wish like well, this is on Wells, really. He should have popped in and been like, oh, sorry, Jeremy, what did you mean by that? Because what Jeremy said was like, you didn't want Bailey to feel embarrassed. Like he sort of was like, really, you don't? And then Kat just like blew over it. People blew over it and nobody never found out. So I think that kind of follow up would be really key for Wells to work on in the future.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes. Wells needs to ask to get in there a little more, if you will.
Yeah. Get some pointers from Ariana.
Mm-hmm. Watch Ariana do her thing and follow through. That's a great one. Bailey speaks to giving grace during filming, but less so during the aftermath. She brought up Andrew's tweet, but also that she doesn't want hate for anyone. So it was kind of confusing. She's both like, you did this, and no, I don't want hate. It was like sort of like, okay, we get it. It's complicated, but you are kind of feeding it here. Mm-hmm. She said she wasn't in a good headspace after sending Leslie and Gary home. It wasn't the best time for her.
I'm so sorry I have so many segments so early, but I have another segment here. This one was for, this is a two-part, two-part, but they're like the same, two halves of the same whole. And this is the half about where I was like, maybe Bailey is in therapy. I think she, like, so I didn't see them specifically mention therapy. So in the other version of the therapy item, which is, we spotted therapy. How did it map onto what we think of therapy? Or our other version of it is, this person may have been to therapy, given that they're using therapy speak and sort of appropriately and not like in a, sensationalized way. So Bailey talking about being in a bad headspace, it wasn't the best for her like self-awareness, her thinking about, I don't want people to, she's like halfway, I totally agree, she's only halfway dedicated to not wanting hate for others, but like at least she's trying, so some of that I felt like maybe was in therapy, but there's someone else I think is even more so related to her, so we'll come back to that later.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I liked listening to her. I actually find her quite delightful.
Me too.
She just seems like compared to, I don't know, I think that she could do, I'll say it here first, I think she could do better than our friend Jeremy personally, but I think she just seems like a really delightful person.
Yeah, same. I love her.
So, yeah. And then Sean says everyone was after Brian in the game and now after Jeremy. Oh, sorry. And now they were after Jeremy or villainizing Jeremy. And then he's like, make it make sense. Did you watch it back? And then...
And he gets cut off. He's like, did you watch it back? But to me, I'm like, duh? Like, what do you mean make it make sense? Of course. They watched it back and it was different. What the fuck? Like, of course they feel differently about it now. To me, I was just like, what do you mean? That's the whole point of this fucking show. Like, now that they see all the back context, they're like, wait, Brian was right to do it. Like, of course. And of course, that's a producer played with. Like, producers manipulated our view on it, of course. Which is why it's like, of course, Sean, they watched it back and it's different. But I also think that was everyone's point. They were like, at the time, they thought that she was, that Bailey shouldn't know because they were worried about protecting Jerry for her sake. They thought they were protecting her for her sake. They're protecting their relationship. But watching it back, they're like, wait, Jeremy did a lot more. And he really seems like he loved Susie. It wasn't just that he called her, which is what they thought before. It's like he like really went after her to come back. And that's totally a different context. So once they got the context, yeah, they were villainizing Jeremy.
Mm-hmm. And he was ambivalent about her, at least based on what we saw, for quite a long time. So, yeah, I think Sean sometimes feels a day late and dollar short to me. I'm like, you're misreading the room. You're misreading the situation. But I think he thinks he's like Captain Savvy or something.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not the right reasons, please. It's like, but you're trying to be. And then on top of that, too, it's like he's so aware of the game of the show, like the Survivor game in it, et cetera. It's like, how do you not see that element of it? Sometimes I'm like, where are the edges of his like awareness of the game part of it?
Yes, because there's some, but then he really misses other things in pretty substantial ways. Mm-hmm. Brian was called on, and he says that he was the only one targeted during the rose ceremony, and he was, so yeah, he was just kind of like bummed about that, and it was weird for him to be, and he could kind of see the writing on the wall. It seems like that he was going to be the one to fall as a result of this.
Yeah, perfect. Well done. Well played. My language there is confusing as fuck, so well done.
Dr. Kay writes these notes and does an amazing job. And of course, every once in a while, there's going to be a typo. I make a typo every 2 seconds, so I'm grateful.
Look, these ones, I'll give you context for these ones too. This has never happened before, but because I needed to write the notes, I was but I've already seen it once fully through. My husband's never seen it. So on the drive back from the luxury hotel, I had him watch it and like I could hear it while I took notes on his phone on the notes app.
Oh, nice.
So then I was like writing on the notes app while driving. So I wasn't writing, I was talking to it. I was like, talk to text. I was like, Jeremy, and Bailey. You know, so my notes were actually like very repetitive sometimes because it would catch up to me and I says it 3 times or whatever. So I went back through, I was like deleting random words and whatever. So yeah, there's definitely some shit going down in these notes. It's talk to text, in other words.
But it's productive. You got it done and it's here. And it helps me test my memory, which is not always great. So we do our best.
That's good. Yes, well done. True. Thank you for that.
Yes. And then Alex said that she had a pre-existing friendship with Jeremy too. And that he implied he was telling Bailey. So she thought the situation was kind of handled or that he was going to handle it and was probably trying not to meddle. I mean, I'm sure it's complicated when you're on a show like that. There's like a million pieces of input going into your head at any given time. If you bring something up, then you're in the drama. Like it feels so complicated. So where she's coming from makes sense. And maybe she should have told her. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is.
Same.
Bailey said, it's been extremely overwhelming and I haven't been able to do normal things.
I added normal things. She gets cut off. She's like, I haven't been able to do, and then she gets cut off. And I think she meant like normal things, like grocery shop or, you know, something like that. And like, how sad is that?
Yeah. Poor thing. But yes, I think now it's your turn.
Oh, that's a page. Thank you.
Yes.
That's nice. Also, as like an organizational tactic, I put the far left bullets are basically like a new segment. So then if it goes in a indentation, then we're talking about like a sub conversation of that same conversation. And then if it goes in again, then it's like specifically who was talking during that next one. So.
Love it.
Okay. Yeah, it gives you a sense. Okay, so then at this point, Jeremy interrupts Bailey. So she's saying he's the one. Okay, I'm glad I just noticed that he's the one who interrupts her. She's like, it's been really overwhelming. I haven't been able to do, and he cuts her off. Which, by the way, I didn't like. To your point, I think she could do better potentially. I also feel like as part of that part of what you're saying is that like that moment, I was like, what the fuck, Jeremy? Like let her fucking talk. Like she's trying to share it very vulnerably. Like she's like crying. Like I don't know. He cut her off, and he goes. Well, I will say thank you to Dale and to Spencer and to Sean and Leia and Jonathan for reaching out, which is like such a dick move. Like clearly he's coming for Andrew there. And I even wrote the time down because I was like, I want to go back to this at some point because that was just so offensive. And sure enough, Andrew was like, that's what's so crazy. He's like, she texted you every day. You know, that was so important and so key. I was glad you brought that up. I didn't like the way that Bailey and Jeremy dismissed that. Like they were like, yeah, but you reached out after it was over. No, I didn't. Alex was like, no, I didn't. I was texting you the whole time. Like, I don't get it. And actually, it seems like Bailey's the one who wasn't responding to them for a time. And that then Alex respected that because she wasn't getting a response. And she's like, I'm not going to like fuck with it. Let it go. Yeah. So that's just shitty. Like that they're really coming for her. Because in response to her enough, Bailey says, well, I just wasn't in a place to talk to either of you. So right. You're admitting that the only reason that you're not saying that about them is because you don't want to talk to them, not because they weren't trying. And then she goes, I don't want anyone to have hate though. We can all attest that it's horrible. So people just take it way too far.
So my sociopolitical moment here is just taking a step back from this and recognizing that, okay, who's getting like villainized in this conversation and who's getting like flack? It's Bailey, it's Alex, it's Andrew. Jeremy's not catching wind of it, right? And it's that whole thing. I think it's like there's both like gender and race playing a role here, right? Like he is a white man automatically in a position of power. And also, like, I think people sometimes have blind spots for their partners and are more apt to, like, blame the woman than the person who exhibited the bad behavior, which is so annoying. Like, it's like, at the end of the day, you can get caught up in all this side stuff, but he's the one who did it. And he underplayed it. So two things were happening. And it's just frustrating to me that I'm listening to this very in-depth conversation about every branch of what happened here. And I'm like, okay, this is how power and patriarchy work. It's like the three of you who were maybe in power down positions to different degrees are now fighting over reduced resources within this environment. And Jeremy is coming out looking good, even though he is the one who needs to be taken to task. And it's fucking annoying. I find it very annoying. And I don't ever feel like he's had to do a mea culpa or really apologize for what he did. And that pisses me off.
Yeah, exactly.
At least publicly, I should say.
Yes, exactly. And not even just publicly, like in the Bachelor sphere. Like I think he has on podcasts. I don't give a fuck about that because we don't all listen to every podcast y'all are on. Like this isn't just for the super fans. The normal casual fans need to see you say something about it. And just telling us you've taken accountability, XYZ or wherever. He's like, I've taken accountability this time, that way, and this way. It's like none of those things are here right now. So how about right now? This is the most public and important time to do it. And he totally like snuck under it by saying, I've already taken accountability. He like angrily said that. His cishet male privilege all over the screen.
It was really irritating. It just, and it makes me feel for Bailey because he deserves better than to be in a relationship where perhaps she feels as if she has to maneuver around his ego, which, by the way, I think his ego is pretty big. And I think it's in the chat in a big way, which sucks. Like, I think she probably has to be conflict avoidant in a lot of ways with him. That's just my guess. I don't actually know that. That's just based on how I've seen him move through this show. Could be wrong.
No, I don't think it could be, frankly. It'll be right. We don't know them, so we absolutely could be wrong. But another data point for what you're saying that makes me think you're definitely right is that, like, even the way she handled what she found out about what he had said about Susie was very conflict avoidant. Like, she came in, she's like, this is what I just heard. Within, obviously, it probably was like hours long conversation, but for us, it like looks very rapid that she was like, okay, well, it's okay. Let me just think about it. I just want to think about it for tonight. And her way of dealing with it was to get away from him to think about it because I'm sure she doesn't want to argue with him about it. So I agree. It's like very conflict avoidant. And then also the fact she was like, I kind of, the way she'll talk about it now too, she's like, I was upset. And like, of course that's something I want to pay attention to, but ultimately I'm with this guy all the time. It's like, I can't really, right. Like if you want to stay in the show, you have to stay with him. And if there's a way, you have to sort of believe him, willfully believe that he's serious about it, what he's saying. So I think you're right. It does feel very conflict avoidant in their dynamic. Yeah. He gets angry and that's not fun. Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it from him. But
yeah. Great reference. Fabulous. So the next one is a terrible moment because I also have a segment here, but so Wells says so at the end of the previous segment, he sort of like, they were like, it's really hard. It's just really hard. And he goes, well, it's about to get harder because we have fan questions. And everyone groans, like literally out loud groans, like, oh, and then everyone's like, oh, no. Like clearly they're super fearful. those are my groans for them. Clearly they're very fearful and also unhappy. And that makes sense, right? Because now we're at the point where it's like they're seeing the fans as the bad guy because there are so many fans who are being the bad guy. I mean, talk about the villain, right? Like the villain edit doesn't need an edit for like all of these people that are writing really nasty things to them where it's like, you just don't know them. Like, don't even fuck with it. Who cares? You're seeing a character of them based on the producer's decision that's based on what they think people are going to get. The producers are trying to rile you up because they know they get more attention. And so like, that's part of where it's like the producers have a part in how fan hate comes. And that's a bummer because they really have so much power in terms of that. So you're seeing the producer's version of this that is purposely created to get you to get riled up. So you comment. I mean, there's more intention. I mean, Jeremy at one point said, I had 10,000 comments, like, who cares, buddy? Who cares that you got 10,000? Not that I don't care that they're getting hate. Of course I do. But the way he said that, I was like, dude, a bunch of people got thousands of comments and hate and honestly got it much worse than you because you're a cishet white man. You about your black girlfriend who got so much hate, way more on or not way more, in addition to tons of it on the other season because black women in particular get the most hate in comments. They get the worst, evaluations from students when they're teachers. They get the, it's like all of these ways that they are most marginalized because they're doubly marginalized in terms of gender and race and maybe more ways. It means that they will also get the biggest brunt, which also means technically, really, it's Bailey who gets the worst of it because she's also darker skinned. So she has the shadism, colorism piece over Alex in terms of marginalization. So she really, really intensely is targeted, which is why I really think that him having so much less makes it hard to hear him say like, oh my God, I really had to take accountability. Like I got tons of hate. Like whatever, bro. I don't know.
Bye. And also, like, what makes it tricky and racialized, in my opinion, is he was talking about, after knowing her for way less time than he knew Bailey, marrying this, like, very, traditional white woman in how she, at least her public persona, and he didn't even know her. So to say some shit like that, to me, is very racialized, and it just sucks.
Absolutely. And the fact he couldn't say something like, if I'm Bailey, I want my white boyfriend to be able to say out loud in public to everybody, I got a lot of hate. It was nowhere near what Bailey got because I'm a white cishet man and she is a black woman, particularly with darker skin, carried the brunt of it. And like, that's who he should be spending his time talking about, not himself. Fuck you.
And what sucks is I'm quite confident he would never say that. And that's the whole problem.
That's exactly why we think she could do better. Exactly. Yeah. So that's a bummer. And then the first fan question was, why was everyone mad at Brian? Or one of them was, I guess. Maybe I skipped some. By the way, when I wrote these notes, they're for the highlights. So there were some things like, for example, Jonathan and Leia, their segments were not as rich. So I kind of... So the fan question was, why was everyone mad at Brian for telling her something? Were you worried he would tell your secrets? This was an interesting thing because then Dale, in response, totally pontificates. He goes on and on and on and on and on about how, well, I just wanted to know so I could have his back. I just wanted to know because I want to have his back. But if I'm going to have his back, I need to know. I need to know the truth. Like, dude, that is not what that felt like in that scene. In that scene, it felt like you were trying to interrupt it, make it doesn't happen so it doesn't happen. Like, you're getting, protective of whomever, Bailey or like Jeremy, by the way, which was interesting. Or you try to protect Brian. No, you're not trying to protect Brian. You're not trying to protect Brian. I don't want to hear it, So I just like that to me was like annoying. And I think he gave up his cards by pontificating and repeating himself so much.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. No, you have any thoughts? Yeah. Totally. Like, okay. Brian and Parisa are talk to about things. They talk about having given it the old college try. And Parisa was asked like what she's up to in this moment. She says she's seeing someone, and then she just they talk about like what didn't work between them. We gave it the old college try. Wells even starts his question by saying, okay, you give it the old college try. Where are you now today? Are you both single? So obviously trying to keep it moving. And Parisa, this was just an interesting thing that stood out to me was that Parisa was like, yeah, like I'm dating someone now. But the whole thing is, it's really hard. Like the process was just hard and it's hard and confusing. You just hit that wall, keep hitting a wall. I'm not getting younger. Neither is he. I mean, she was just like throwing out little jabs there, but also it was just such an interesting, like, perseveration. Like she was just still like right back at the original question.
Oh, interesting. I saw it as her, because when I heard, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her name now. Kathy.
Alicia? Oh no, Kathy.
When I heard Kathy say, like, I could tell every day you were very unhappy in this relationship.
It's like a trauma.
That was helpful to me in being like, okay, like clearly she was unhappy. Clearly the way
like a trauma
was shutting down. Yeah, it was like really harmful to her. Mm-hmm. And I wondered if she had gotten some therapy about it actually, but maybe she, like, I don't know, maybe she's still perseverating on the narrative because I thought she was actually quite fair to him while also.
Yeah, she really was overall.
Like she really could have been more scathing to him because you can just tell he's kind of a dick. Like he had some good moments with Bailey, but if I had to describe him Italian to Italian, you're kind of a dick. Like it's just obvious to me. But it seems like maybe she had some therapy around it.
Yeah.
I think Brian could really use therapy. That was my other segment here because his pattern of like shutting down when women show emotionality, he's like very relationally punishing in a very like male way. Which I think Dale did a little bit of a similar thing of like when women show strong emotions and instead of like meeting them to help them and help de-escalate, they make it worse by being like avoidant, which is just so shitty because what's being thought in that moment is some sort of reassurance or grounding. And they're kind of doing the opposite. It just fucking sucks. So I would imagine there's, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's just so weird that they have that reaction. I mean, it's just such a like, just it's an avoidance of strong emotion, but then it comes out of misogyny. It's like they can't stand women being emotional. Oh my God, that's a women's thing. Like, I don't need to deal with that. Like, she's faking it often is that. What? Like, how is that? You think we're just like running around trying to do something that we know you're not going to like? We know you hate it when we cry. We're coming to you at a fucking very base emotional level because we can't help it. Like, that's why it's like we're now at the point where like we have to just like cry out to you and hope that you'll care. It's like if we know that if you're with someone like a Brian, if you're with someone that's Brian, we as women are going to know that you're going to be a dick about it. So why would we do that just to fuck around with it? They're not doing it. They're not doing it to lie. We're not doing it to lie or try to get your attention. So yeah, it's so important that like they tap into that more like parent role of sort of being able to be like, wow, someone's crying. I need to care for them and like, run to it rather than away. But yeah, it comes with this misogyny. It's so gross. I hate that about our society that it gives men that idea. Yeah.
And I wonder where he learned that or like what in his dynamics growing up because we saw him do it with two women pretty intensely when they started to feel feelings. It's almost like he gets disgusted. It feels like a trauma response or something to me where he needs work. And maybe with said work, he could be like much better and have much more successful relationships. Because this isn't going to play out well for him if this is how he's going to continue, in my opinion, based on what I've seen on TV.
No. Truthfully, it's not. It's just not good. Yeah, it's not good for him. It's not good for anyone in the dynamic with him either. It's real bad. Yeah, I agree. I know she did say some things that were like pretty on point that did also to me feel like maybe having a process with a therapist. I also felt like she was very long-winded and it was perceptive at times, which I think also just speaks to the fact that it is a trauma, which could also still be, like you said, could still be in the context of therapy that she's working through it. It definitely sounded very, very intense. I mean, the other thing is like she ended on this thing of like, so if anything, well, she says like, I'm not getting younger than is he. Brian asked what he could have done differently. He says, well, he could have done differently at the VIP and just given his favorite color, which was his way of being funny. I didn't think it was funny, of course. I was like, enough of that. I don't care about the, like, whatever fuck, like he said his favorite color is now, but even though he doesn't know what it looks like lay up. I didn't like any of that play. And like, even when Parisa's talking, he ends up by being like, I should have given my favorite color. He does it again in another context. It's like, it didn't get any laughter. It didn't garner any laughter. And it's just his way again of like putting down what Parisa's saying that's much deeper. And he's like, I just should have done it. So I did appreciate though that he named that like in that context, that was the problem. Like, cause what he did that night was bad. Like that was awful watching that. What he doesn't get is it wasn't just not giving his favorite color. That was like a minute microcosm of the larger issue of him avoiding her because he didn't want to get into the emotional stuff. He wanted to be sexual. He wanted the video to be of him and her making out and almost humping. You know, it's like, no, that's not how she wants to see it. She wants us to see her being intimate with you, and she wants to get to know you. And this is a great time for that, like intimate emotionally, not physically. And then the nice thing is, if you'd been intimate with her in an emotional way, you probably would have also been able to have the intimate sexual stuff on camera too. That's like within reason. So it's ironic. Yeah.
If you give, you get. And exactly. She wasn't getting anything. Yeah, I like that. He was probably trying to look like the man in that moment, having like a cool, sexy moment. And she wanted to connect. She was trying to look like the woman in that moment, not to be so gendered, but she was trying to connect.
Yeah.
Which is tough.
Yeah, exactly. It was just not, they were missing each other big. And I think that he will keep missing people until he goes to therapy. I totally agree with that. And sort of learns about his own relational images around men and manlyhood and manliness. And then also about like, how women need to be treated, just based on decent human stuff, norms. And Parisa like stops. He's like, oh, it was hard. We'd been in those feathers for a long time. She's like, I actually really get that. Like, right, you're right. The context is like we were all having a hard time, but like we were all having a hard time. So you like rejecting me in that moment was a shitty. Like, she's like, I wish we could have adapted. She makes it about adapting. That felt like a very therapist moment. Like she went to therapy to hear about the adapting being the problem. And she's like, I just wish that like we could have adapted. She's like, so now in the future, if it's a new experience, then you just, you know, you can like do better at it because you'll know that you're going to keep it moving. You know, you'll know better because it's something you've had. And that was kind of funny how she was like, so let me tell you how you should see this. Like for next time, you'll do this thing differently. And she did also say something big about like, I don't want this to be used to label anybody. It was shitty, but like, it's okay in that way, which I think was good.
She was very fair to him. My goodness.
She really was. Yeah. Yeah. Including during the show. She was very fair to him during the show as well. And like hearing how miserable she was, like you said about with through Kathy's eyes, I was like, yeah, it seems like that, but she wasn't showing us that. She wasn't showing us what she did at Shaq, you know, and it makes sense in retrospect. So, the cruise. Wells brings up the cruise. Did you know what the cruise is all about? Did you hear more about it?
Is it just like they're going on a cruise with Bachelor contestants or something?
Yeah. And it's just like hundreds of them. Like it's like Trista and Ryan. It's like all the classic, really big ones. And, you know, like honestly, a lot of them, like huge names. And then people like the really famous recent ones. Hannah Brown will be there. You know, like Jesse. You know, just Conner will be there. I know, right? It's kind of fun, right? I don't mind it. I really would go if you want to go. It's probably not gonna be super expensive because they're not like doing great as a franchise right now. So I will also say like I imagine what it's gonna look like is like these folks have their own rooms and they brought some Game of Roses too. So like to share some credit there. Like I had also thought of it though, which is why I'm gonna still say it because I had already thought this through. It's like they're not gonna have them like milling about with people all the time. Like they're just gonna have panels. You have to go to see them still. Like you're not gonna necessarily get a chance to meet and greet. I mean, maybe there are meet and greets that'll be set up, which they probably will charge more money for. They'll probably be like, if you want to spend another $20, you can meet and greet with Jesse. Like they're gonna charge things outside of what you pay to get there. So I think the panels might be free, but like meet and greets probably cost money. So each of these things, I'm just sort of like, whatever. Like I don't know if like not whatever, but I just think remember that that's probably part of it. Like you're probably not going to see them like regularly out and about being regular people. They'll have their own section of the cruise that's just for them to mill with each other, and that's kind of cute. I don't mind it as a thing. It's been a popular thing lately. Like they did a traders cruise and like other things, so that's kind of cute. I'll go to the cruise if you want to. But coming back around to it, I'm fine with it, even though I have some critiques for it. I have some notes. I do think the amount of people that'll be there is outstanding. Like I don't think those people will ever be in a room together ever again. That will be there. It's like everybody. I like couldn't even think of people that I would want to be there that won't be. So it's good. So they bring that up. That was like the big announcement, which is just so fucking funny because remember when it was like a couple years ago and it was the double Bachelorette with my favorite too, Gabby and Rachel. They went on a cruise and then they were like, we have a huge surprise during the like final rose, and they just like, gave a cruise to each of the people in the room, and everyone at home was like, where? Why does that matter? Like we're like, we don't get one, so what the fuck?
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, exactly. So yet again
for you all.
Exactly. I'm so glad you guys get to go on a cruise. Like, so yet again we're back at that. It's like a huge announcement. It's a cruise. Like it's just so funny.
For them.
Just for the people that are, either going to pay for this or for the people that you're seeing in the room that are going to have to go have fun together on a cruise. Exactly. So I'm just breaking for a second. I'm aware at 6:30. Do you want to break now, or do you want to go to the end of this page, or what do you want to do?
I think, thank you for checking in, but I think we can definitely get to the end of this page and then we
Me
rock
too. We're
and
right
roll.
there. I love it. I love it. Okay, perfect. I'm just going to mark. This is where I stopped for a second. Okay, perfect. So then they go to Sean to talk about the Parliament of Paradise. And he made sure to tell us, it was 3 days left when I did this, friends. It was not like I did it with a week left. Like they acted like it was like, it was too early to go to the gaming thing. And he's like, I knew if we didn't act then that we would go home anyway. And sure enough, they were next. I think he's right. I think they would have gone home either way next. And I think it shows because even the women, like Bailey and Alex, didn't vote for Alicia. Their men did. So like it showed that no matter what would have happened, so like enough people were going to vote for them either way. So I think that was an important part. He was like, I called everything, the jury coming back, He's like so proud of himself for like being a gamer, which is why it's funny that like on the flip side, he didn't see some things that were pretty obvious. This was tough. So Nancy's like, well, I want to say something. Can I say something? It's quiet. She goes, you said we are the strongest relationship. You came up to us and you said we are the strongest relationship. At the moment, like, and I did too, it sounded like she was saying he said that about Kathy and Keith. And everyone was like, well, what the fuck? And then she goes, it made it clear that she meant that Sean said it about himself and Alicia. And so everyone was like, oh, got it. And then Sean was like, oh, good. I love this. Say more. Like, it's just showing he like loves getting into drama with people. It's just like off-putting. And then she says that, explains it. Sean goes, whether we were or not, I don't think you knew what the fuck you were talking about.
Yeah. That's fun.
So this is where I put the producers could have done shit differently, friends.
Sorry,
so this
was
is where
this
I think
Kathy, not Nancy?
Oh, fuck, thank you. And you know what's so funny? I'm going to leave this in because this is also a time to note that last episode, I was talking about Kathy and I go, Nancy. I called her Nancy and then I was like, Karen? And I was like, no, it's Nancy. I was like, haha, I said Karen. It turns out it's none of those names. It's actually Kathy. So I even put it in the episode where I was like, "Noops!" Actually, her name's Kathy. I like re-recorded later. It was like, "Nope, sorry, Kathy." So same here, still Kathy, not Nancy. I don't know how I can make that mistake. It's so fun because you can see throughout my notes it's actually Kathy. Otherwise, though,
that was the only place. And I was like, "Wait a minute, was Nancy there?
Was Nancy there? Did she just show in for like a day?" She did actually. She did come for a day and then left.
Oh yeah, so she was there. But then I was like,
she was there for a hot second. Yeah. So it's funny. I'm glad you noticed that. It's like my one little throw out to last week's error. That's cute. Okay. So she said to Sean, Sean says this awful thing. This is where I have this is where I brought up the segment about the older golden folks not being integrated well, because this is ageist as fuck. The way he treated her in that moment was so fucking inappropriate. Like, absolutely should have jumped right in there and been like, whoa, Sean, like, let's take it back a notch. Like, that's actually really inappropriate. Not because you said fuck. It's because of what you said to a person who like absolutely deserves respect, but all of you do, And so it just like was so wildly inappropriate. It reminded me that this keeps happening because then Brian said something that is the most fucked up thing, which I also have in here as a separate one because it was so bad. But yeah, this was just so poorly handled, and it should have been somebody jumping in and fucking getting involved and saying like, whoa, back it up. Or like something should have come up in a different text. Someone should have brought up the ageism. Like there's just something about integrating them better. And I totally agree with you that throughout the show, they should have integrated them better so they weren't like targeted and normalized as targeted, like normalized that they would be, of course they would go first. They're too old. We don't want to watch them. Like, no. The way it was normalized that Jeremy didn't like the older folks. The way he was like, they were like, and Jeremy who just doesn't like old people. That's literally what Wells said. Who doesn't like old people? Excuse me? First of all, saying old people, goodbye. I don't like it. You can say older adults. Thank you, friend. Mm-hmm. And then second of all, saying like normalizing that Jeremy didn't like them. Gross. I don't like this. Why are we saying that's fine? Why are we saying, okay, of course it makes sense? Because then the worst part for me was when Brian says to Kathy, you said you were going to go for love and promote love, but then you voted off a real relationship. Keith says, I felt terrible about it. And Brian goes, I know. You almost cried about it. That's why I respect you. That's what he fucking said. He said that, which means I do not respect Kathy because she did not almost cry. She did not have a hard time with it. I just respect Keith because he did have a hard time with it, which right away I was like, what the fuck? Like, that is so bad. So I put this as something that I thought people were going to talk about the next day, and they didn't, because it was such a big moment that he said that, and so inappropriate and so ageist and so fucked up. So you don't respect Kathy? You're saying you don't respect Kathy. Like, what is wrong here, dude? Like, come on. You should have respect for everyone there. Hands down, period. Done. Like, that baseline level. Y'all live together. Y'all got to know each other. Even if you're not friends with Kathy, you don't say you don't respect her. You should respect her life. You should respect all lives. We should all respect all lives, especially people who have done nothing actually to you in any sort of harmful way. You being voted off was not Kathy's like plan and idea. Who cares? Like, and of course, she went for y'all because Parisa said she wanted to go, as it turns out. Right. But it doesn't even matter. Even if it wasn't that, she's allowed to vote whatever. Like, even if she's saying she's going for love and whatever, yeah, she doesn't think y'all have love. Like, whatever, whatever it is. Like, because clearly y'all weren't doing something right. So I think it's also to Brian's, like, ignorance of what was happening in the moment. Like, I think to him, he feels totally personally offended by it because he thinks that, like, we were really strong. Y'all weren't strong, friend. Like, I also think the fascination with like who is the strongest couple needs to go out the door. There does not need to be a hierarchy of who's the strongest couple. It's way too more messy than that, way messier. So that's relevant here too. But anyway, I put it as what we thought we'd talk about the next time. The idea that he disrespects her because she was firmer, like she wasn't crying about voting y'all out, so you just don't respect her. Like, don't you think if you saw her as emotional, you'd also find a reason to dislike her? Like, you know what I mean? It's like each of the things is so bad. So that's the end of my page. And also yet another segment about the fucking ageism flying around this goddamn screen.
Justice for Kathy. She's a smart older woman. Mm-hmm. And I think that gets punished sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Oh. Thank you for saying that, because I forgot to go back into the notes and write this, because I actually love this moment. Right at the same moment, Kathy says, Brian says, he says, you voted out Parisa and I. And Kathy goes, it's Parisa and me, but okay. And he goes, I think you're wrong about that. She's like, English major, thank you so much. It's the direct object. And I was like, yes, Kathy, you're correct. Kathy's correct. When you are the object, sir, not the subject, it's me. And when you are the subject, meaning you were the one acting in the sentence, then it is I. So she nailed it. I love that she stood by it. She's like, sorry, but, and he still didn't believe her. He still was like, I don't think so. Like,
and he probably won't even check, because why would he?
He'll try to find a reason he's right by like finding an article where someone else got it wrong, and he's like, see, it says it right here. It's like they also got it wrong, because people get it wrong all the time. It's understandable. Like, I understand it. We're used to hearing someone and I, because you use it usually at the beginning of a sentence to say so and I are going to do da 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 da. That's correct. If you're at the end of the sentence, typically it means you're also the object. Does not always, but usually it's a good sign. You should be saying and me. So I like, as a grammar nerd, my dad being an English teacher, I like learned all the like mistakes, English grammar mistakes when I was like in high school, middle school, before people were learning it in high school. Amazing. So I've just like over nerd out all the time on it. And I love that moment of them having a little back and forth on it. And I love that he was so stringent about it, because it is yet another signal of him not respecting Kathy. He like cannot respect that she knows more than he does, cannot respect that she's older and has more wisdom, has more life, lived more life. And in this case is more of a grammar nerd than he is. So I was way put off by that. I like your points about Ryan earlier, because they relate to this too. It's just, he has a lot of work to do, friend. About learning to respect people. Just respect. Like, just that alone. To start there.
Mm-hmm. It'll go a long way. He has a long way to go. And I probably, if I had to guess, the environments that he's in validate and reinforce the way he is. So he might not change. And it's probably going to cause him unhappiness.
Lots of breakups between now and then. So one day when he has that extra breakup, maybe it's of an engagement, he gets so far thinking he's gotten what he wanted all along, and then that person realizes really where he's coming from is not a place about loving her so much as like loving how she makes him look or whatever, loving some other version, that he'll finally hopefully ask, what is wrong with me that this keeps happening, and can go to therapy and be real and authentic and dig in and understand that it's not coming from a bad place for him. It's adaptive, that he's learned how to protect himself and to disrespect others that he finds have hurt him. Of course, that comes from like a male and like very, what's adoption? It's not adoption. How do we evolve it? It's we're definitely at the short list of words here that are smushing together. Evolutionarily. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Evolutionarily, it makes sense that like if someone hurts you, you reject them. You don't have to deal with them anymore because you don't want to get hurt over and over again, of course. But at the same time, we all make mistakes. We accidentally hurt each other. And as long as we can have a conversation about it, you can repair it, be closer than ever. That's the real evolutionary movement that actually we are working towards. That's not as easy to adapt to, but absolutely should be where we're all going. So he doesn't have relational resilience where he can like rupture and repair. He just ruptures and he says goodbye, enough of you. And that's a little bit more archaic.
And I hope he works on that.
Yeah.
Might not.
No.
But
it's up to him. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I wish the best for him. I really do. There are moments with him when he was with Bailey in that conversation, I was like, there he is. Like, that's what he really, that's his heart, like finally showing. He didn't one time show us that with Parisa. I didn't see it any other way. But right there, I was like, there he is. Like, and I don't think, we never saw him in the first season with Jen ever. So it's just that one scene was the first moment we're like, oh, you know, like, so that's
the person that cares.
You just got to keep building on that. Exactly. So what a delight. Always love a little bit of Bachelor in Paradise love. And when we come back, we'll have just basically 2 in a chunk, more pages. So we'll jump right in and finish this out. Come on back, friends, next week to see it or hear it, both. And in the meantime, you can interact with our Patreon. I will say, by the way, that in the meantime, I have not finished the video episodes for the last episode because I have been doing my birthday thing. So soon they will come, potentially tonight. So then, and then the next week, though, they'll come more midweek. The audios come out on Monday morning. And if you are a Patreon member, free Patreon member, you get access to it the night before. So if you want to hear it before Monday morning, you can come to our Patreon, just create a membership, free. Become a member of our thing in particular, register with Patreon, but then become a member of our thing, all free. And you get access the night before, early access to our episodes. So that's the audio. And then on like Wednesday, Thursday-ish is when I usually post the video episodes. Those you do have to pay to see the full thing for with $5 a month. Cheap, cheap. Plus, we can give you a membership for free if you're one of the first few people. We're going to do that sort of randomly. Although if it's a slow trickle, we'll just give it to the first 5 people. And then, check it out because maybe you'll get that one of those free ones, probably pretty likely. And then there you go. You get a whole year of membership for free anyway, and you get to see the full video episodes anytime you want. And the shorter versions of them are little excerpt versions we put on YouTube. Those are also free. So you can see like a half episode of the video and you can hear the full video anywhere you get podcasts. You will also find that you can go to our Instagrams, Dr. K Pods and Dr. Ray Pods. We are both, Dr. Ray is joining me in making videos. So now you'll have 2 video producers showing up and sending out videos so that you can get more regular content. So it's like flowing more regularly. And we also, so you find that at Dr. K Pods for me, at Dr. Ray Pods, Dr. Ray. You will also be finding things like on TikTok at dr.dr.realitv, REALITV. You can find us on YouTube at Reality Test Pod, one word. You can find us on our Facebook page is Reality Test Pod, 3 words. And then last but not least, our email is realitycheckpodding, PODDING, @gmail.com.
Indeed. And don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and tell all your friends about our podcast and to financially support us if you can. It's a huge help to us to keep doing this thing that we love.
Yes. And we love and adore you, regardless of your engagement with us. I love that you're listening. Love seeing the different countries and states and areas of states of people showing up and listening. So thank you all. And totally agree. I just want to say hi to the friends that you're going to tell. Hi, friends. If you've been told by a friend who's already listening, we're so glad you're here. Welcome. Join us. Stay for a long time and a good time. That's what we can promote. Long and good. Sorry, that's a little much. Yeah, right? But this is what happens. You get to see the video for this if you were watching the long video that you got on Patreon. Shit, I usually put this part on the clip too. Whatever. Y'all got to see it. But for shit, you didn't get to see all of it, so come on back and join us on Patreon. You can see the whole deal. With that, there are things we actually like purposely bury little Easter eggs within the episode so that you would have to be a full-time member of our Patreon to see, and you only see it visually. So, like for example, sometimes I even like write little things in it, which you can't see if it's audio, you can't see my little written things. So you actually have to be a Patreon member to see it. Anyway, lovely as always, and I love and adore you. Thank you so much for your birthday shout out at the beginning. That's very sweet.
Love and adore you too, birthday girl. Yay! Yay! Self-care week and self-care lives. For both of us.
Self-care lives and self-compassion lives.
Yes.
Sending that to all of you as well. Big hopes for self-compassion and love. Yay. See y'all next week. Oh, yeah. No, we'll see you next session. Bye.
Bye.